Hey guys, welcome to OnFireRobloxScripting, and this is the fourth and final part of the working shop series inside of Roblox Studio. So up to this point, you should have a shop that kind of looks like this. You can click on the different buttons to buy the different tools. You can close the shop and you can open the shop, and of course you can buy items from the shop. So in today's video, we're just going to go over some additional things you can add to your shop to make it even better. So we're going to start off by this UI right here. Instead of just appearing and disappearing, we're going to make it move in and out of the player's view. So to do that, we're going to need to use this thing called TweenService. Don't worry, it shouldn't be too hard. So let's just get right into it. So under your shop button handler, you should have a function that opens the shop by making the shop visible into true, and you should have the exit button, which makes it false. So instead of just making them true and false, we're going to use TweenService to move the shop GUI in and out of the player's screen. So instead of shop.visible equals to false, I can just zoom in a little bit. We can replace that with shop : and then we can use this built-in Roblox function called TweenPosition. So if TweenPosition, this allows us to basically move our UI. So just do that and then go down the line. And then we can write udum2 dot new, and then there should be brackets that appear. Now these brackets is the position that you want your shop frame to go into. So if you think about it, when we open the shop, we want the shop to move where it is now. So if we open the shop under the start GUI, shop GUI, just click on the shop frame. Under the properties, you can go down and then find a position right here. So that is the position we want to put inside the brackets. So the first number is 0.124. So we're just going to write 0.124 and then comma, and you want to put in your second number, which is 0, and then comma, the third number, in this case is 0.138, and then comma, the fourth number, which is 0. And that's all you have to do. So that is for the position. So after that, we're going to put a comma and then go down the line, and then we're going to go enum dot easing direction dot, and here you have different options. This is kind of just like how the UI moves. So yeah, you can play around with these three options if you want. It doesn't really matter. This is just how it moves. And then put a comma, and then we can go another one. So enum dot, except for this time it's going to be the easing style. Here there's a little more options than just three, but once again, this is just all like how the UI moves. I think the most popular one is sine, but linear is like a straight line. There's also like bounce and elastic. I'm just going to use sine because that's what most people use. After that, we can go down a line, and then here we're just going to type in a number. So this number is going to be the duration of the tween. So if you type in something like 1, it's going to be 1 second. 2 is going to be 2 seconds, etc. So I'm just going to put that 1 second. And the last thing is a true or false statement that's going to determine if a tween can be overridden. So we will set that to false. So yeah, so that is the tween position for the open part of the script. So now we need to make the closing, which is actually a lot easier than you think, because once you have the open, you can just copy that, paste it into here, except for the third number, which we have as 0.138, you can just change that to 1. That's all you have to do. The 1 will basically make it go under the player screen. Now obviously, if you want, you can just like duplicate your frame over here. You can move it somewhere else. Like for example, if you want to come from the side like that, you can just move it to the side. And then if you go look into the position, you can see that actually changes the first number to negative 0.75. So yeah, you can just move where you want the frame to go away. So it could be anywhere, top left, bottom right. You just need a position that is not inside the player's view. So once you have your position, just insert it there, and then everything else should be exactly the same. And that is all you have to do for the tween. So if I go test it out over here, if I press X, you'll see it disappears into my position. If I walk back over here, just like that, it will reappear. And then because we set the overlap to false, we actually can't close the thing while it's trying to open it. And if we close the thing, we can't open it until it's fully closed. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to make it so that the player gets an error message whenever they don't have enough cash. Now obviously you can just like change the text here, but we're gonna make it an actual message. So under the shop frame, just we can take the title actually. Just duplicate the title. I'm going to change the Z index to like 5 so I can move it. So I'm just gonna move the title down here. I'm gonna resize it so it looks like that. I'm also gonna rename this to error message, just like that. Over here, you can just like under the text put in like a sample error message so you know what it looks like. And then you can obviously customize what you want your error message to look like. So maybe I want to change the text to red. Probably have a text stroke transparency of 0, so it has like a little outline. And maybe I don't want it like so close to the other buttons. Or yeah, two lines could work too. Maybe something like that. Yeah, so once you have your error message out, just like how you like it, just go into the text and just make it blank. So what we're going to code is if the player does not have enough cash, we will show that error message. So what we want to do is go under the service script service under our tool handler. So here we have our table and this piece of code over here that gives the player the item if they have enough cash, right? So if player.leaderstats cash.value is over equal the selected price item then. So we can just create a new scenario where it's not. So we can just go down the line over here and write else if, and then player.leaderstats.cash.value is under the selected item.price then. So if it's under the price amount, then the buy remote event, we can fire that back to the client, and then we can fire it to our player. After that, we can go into the shop button handler. So we have a remote event for the open shop, but we need one for the buy remote event. So if you just go back into the tool handler script, just copy that first line over there and then paste it back into the shop button handler. So now we have a variable for our buy remote event. We can just put it at the bottom here. So buy remote event dot on client event connect function, put in brackets, and then go down a line. And then we can write shop.errorMessage.text equals to, and then put in quotation marks. And then inside the quotation marks, you're going to put your error message. So it could be something like, oops, looks like you don't have enough cash. Just like that. And then we can do something like task.wait3. So the script's going to wait 3 seconds. And then shop.errorMessage.text equals to blank. So if we go try that out, let's say I'm buying a flashlight. I buy it once, I buy it twice. If I try buying again, it'll give me the error message. Oops, looks like you don't have enough cash. If I go with the sword, it will also give me that error message. Same thing with the key card, just like that. Now, if you really want, this is slightly more advanced. We can actually specify which tool the player cannot buy. So for example, over here, after we fire the buy remote event, after player, put a comma, and then we can just write item. So remember that the item is the item we were trying to buy. And if we can't afford the item, then we can send that item name back to the client. And then inside the shop button handler, inside these brackets on the buy remote on client event, you can just write in the tool. And then we can change the error message to, oops, looks like you don't have enough cash. You can replace the exclamation marks with to buy, put a space, and then outside the quotation marks, I'm just going to zoom out just a little bit, put 2 dots and write tool, put another 2 dots, and put in quotation marks, and then we can add back those exclamation marks. So what this essentially does is it will specify which tool we can't buy. So oops, looks like you don't have enough cash to buy flashlight. If we do that with the classic sword, oops, looks like you don't have enough cash to buy classic sword. If I try it with the key card, oops, looks like you don't have enough cash to buy key card. Just like that. So that is how we would do an error message. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you guys in this part of the tutorial is how to make a maximum limit on buying items. Now, there are 2 ways you could do this. 1, you could use a bool value so that each item can only be bought once. Or 2, you can use an int value so you can count how many times the player has bought the item. For example, maybe you want the player to be able to buy like 3 flashlights, but no more than 3. then we would use the int value. But if you're doing like a shop where each tool can only be bought once, you want to use a bool value. In this tutorial, for simplicity's sakes, I'm just going to use a bool value. So for simplicity's sakes, I'm just going to use a bool value so that every single item inside the shop, you can only buy once. So to do that, we can go back into the tool handler. So inside each dictionary, we're going to add in a new variable called bot. So what you want to do is just after the tool, just add in a comma right there, and then go down the line, and then we can write another variable or another key. So bot equals to false. And then you just want to do that for all your tools. So after flashlight, a comma, after the key card, a comma, and then we can just copy bot equals to false. So bot equals to false, and bot equals to false. And over here, under the if statement, we're going to check if the player leader stats cash.value is over the selected price. We're also going to check if they have already bought the item. So we're just going to put an and then it's going to be selected item dot bot equals to false. So this is going to check if the player has enough cash, and if the bought item is false, then we will give the item to the player. So right after we subtract the price, we can write selected item dot bot equals to true. That way we know that the player has already bought the item. And then we can add in another else if statement before we check if they don't have enough cash. So else if selected item dot bot equals to true, then go down the line, and then we can write by re colon fire client. Then this is going to be player comma item once again. Just make sure that there's two equals inside your else if statement. Now here's a little problem. Since we're setting two of the exact same remote events, the script has no way to tell which one is which. So we can actually send in a string too. So this, I'm just going to send in the string called max. And then for the not enough cash value, I'm going to send in a string called cash. So this way we know which remote event is which. So after you've done that, we can actually go back to the shop button handler over here. So after tool, just write comma instruction. And then over here, just under that, just write if instruction equals to cash, then, and then just copy and paste all that code back in there. This is just so that we can use the exact same remote event for two different things. So the instruction right here, this is just the string that we pass on. So if we're trying to do something to do with the cash, then we'll tell them they don't have enough cash. And then else if instruction equals to, and then I think the other scenario we called it max. Then over here we can do shop.errorMessage.text equals to, and then put in quotation marks, and this is going to be your error message for buying the maximum amount of items. So we could write something like, oops, looks like you already bought, and then put in a space, put in two dots, once again, just a tool dot, and put back the quotation marks. So oops, looks like you already bought, and it'll put the tool, and then we can put in our exclamation marks. Once again, task.wait3, and then shop.errorMessage.text equals to blank. So this part might have been just a little confusing. What we've done is we just added a few more checks for scenarios where they don't have enough cash and they haven't bought the item. So if they do have enough cash and they have not bought the item, we will give them the item. If that's not true, then we'll check if they have bought the item. If they have, then we'll give them the max item error message. And if it's false, so if they haven't bought the item, then this else if statement won't fire. Then we'll go over here and we'll just check if they don't have enough cash. And if they don't have enough cash, we'll just let them know they don't have enough cash. And then inside the client side, this is just if we're trying to tell them they don't have enough cash, then we'll tell them they don't have enough cash. And then same thing with max items. Don't worry if it's a little confusing. I'll have the scripts down in the description below, and also have messages that tell you exactly what they do. But for now, let's go test it out. So if I come here into the shop, I go into the classic sword, And if I buy item, you can see I now have this lovely classic sword. Now, if I open up the shop again and I try to buy the item again, it'll tell me, oops, looks like you already bought classic sword. Just like that. If I try to buy a flashlight, I can buy the flashlight, no problems. I now have a flashlight that I can turn on and off. If I try to buy another flashlight, it'll tell me, oops, looks like I already bought a flashlight. Now, if I try to buy a key card, actually, if you check my cash, I don't have enough cash to buy a key card. So if I try to buy a key card, it'll tell me, oops, looks like I don't have enough to buy a key card. So yeah, that'll be it for this part of the tutorial. This is the last part. So you are now officially done the new and updated working shop series. If you found this series tutorial helpful, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.